Hello and welcome. So, most of you know that I had a birthday recently. And today I just want to share with you my birthday haul as it relates to fragrances. I did get a couple of other gifts, but I may film a second part to this video because in addition to these fragrances, there are a couple more that I really do want to share with you that were part of my birthday haul. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you today, I think it's 10 fragrances, and a couple of those fragrances, I did also pick up the body cream because you guys know how I love to just layer these products. But I'm going to share with you 10 of the fragrances that are part of my birthday haul, and one of them was received in PR. But all the others I picked up. Either my husband gave them to me for my birthday or I gave them to myself. But anyway, guys, before we jump right in, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi, and in this channel, we love to talk about fragrances, and we talk about all types of fragrances from affordable to Western niche to Middle Eastern to designer and even scented body products because we just love to smell fabulous. I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you, and I upload videos multiple times a week. Now, if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. All right, so as we go along, I am going to give you a little bit of a story on how each one of these fragrances landed on my birthday wish list. And I'm going to go ahead and start with a fragrance that was sent to me in PR. As always, I am going to share the notes with you. I don't know if I'll do my regular format or just put the notes down here. I'll probably just put the notes down here because this is a pretty informal video where I just want to share with you what I got for my birthday. But I have to tell you guys, before I share with you the fragrance that I received in PR, first of all, I want to thank the Twisted Lily team because they did send me this fragrance so generously. And I also want to let you know that I do have a coupon that you can use. I think it's for 10% off with Twisted Lily. It'll be in the description box below. And if you're interested in this fragrance or anything else from Twisted Lily, then you can use that discount code and it will apply. But anyway, guys, so the fragrance that I'm going to share with you is Thameen Center Stage. Oh my goodness, guys, let me tell you. So I have another video coming up. I have another video coming up in maybe a couple of days where I'm going to talk to you about my current obsessions in fragrances. And this one is at the top of the list. Now, I did receive this fragrance in PR, but you guys know that I am going to tell you the truth. So I am totally obsessed with this fragrance because from the first moment I sprayed it, this is a fragrance with so much personality. I mean, if you've tried this fragrance or if you've gotten your nose on it, can you please let us know? This is a fragrance where the lavender, oh my goodness, the lavender, the orange blossom, and the cardamom are dominant. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you are not a fan of lavender, cardamom, and orange blossom, then please, this is not the fragrance for you because this is a powerhouse. When I tell you this may very well be the most beast mode fragrance that I have in my entire collection, I am not kidding you. This fragrance is a major beast. This does not go away. You can launder your clothes and you'll still get a slight sniff of it. Doesn't matter how you scrub yourself, you may still sniff this on your skin. When you wear this, you will sniff yourself all day. Others around you, kind of like a 6-foot radius, they can sniff it. If you're in a room and you leave the room, I'm telling you, this scent will be in the room all day plus. So the first time that I applied this fragrance on skin, my husband came over to my studio and he said, "That is a very strong fragrance. What is that?" And I told him, "Oh, it's just a fragrance that I just told you I received in PR." And he told me, "Wow, that fragrance is really, really strong and I like it, but it's really, really strong." So I am telling you guys, This is a beast, but I am absolutely in love with it because it smells incredible. This smells of wealth and opulence. Oh my goodness. This is such a bold and statement making fragrance, just like I love it. This fragrance is also very ambery, and it's also warm spicy because you know it has that cardamom and it has a ton of white florals. They're not disclosing all of them because I'm just getting, you know, orange blossom, but I'm picking up on jasmine. I'm picking up on a true bouquet of white florals. And you guys know how much I love purple florals. So I already shared with you that there was lavender in this fragrance, but there's also iris, and I am here for it. So if you are an iris lover, oh my goodness, you've got to get yourself a decant or a sample of this fragrance because my goodness, it is just exquisite. Let us know if you've tried this fragrance. Had you even heard about it? Because I know this is a 2024 launch and it just launched not too long ago. Anyway, moving on. So this next fragrance is a fragrance, guys, that I had wanted for so long. And it was on my wish list forever because it is Kayali's Wedding Silk Santal 36. Now, you guys know that this is a fragrance that was launched, I'm pretty sure, in 2023, and it was around Mona Khatan's wedding. And she apparently used this for her wedding. She actually developed this fragrance with her wedding in mind, her wedding day. And this is the one that she used on her wedding day. And then her groom, or her current husband, has another fragrance that he used on their wedding day that I also have in my collection. Now, when these fragrances came out, honestly, guys, it only took me like a couple of days to try and pick it up. And I went into the Harrods site and it was sold out. And I went into other sites that had the fragrance and it was sold out, including the Huda site. So ever since then, I have been waiting and waiting and waiting because I had heard nothing but incredible things about this fragrance. So around my birthday, this actually came back in stock and I was just thrilled, delighted to get my hands on it. So I immediately placed my order. I picked it up at Sephora. And when it came in, I immediately opened it because I was curious to know, okay, what is the big deal with this fragrance? I'm sure it's exquisite because Mona only does beautiful fragrances. But at the end of the day, guys, I needed to know what was all the commotion about because it's been a thing in the fragrance community. But I have to tell you, oh wow, this fragrance is truly beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, guys. This fragrance has a note of champagne that you will definitely pick up from the moment you spray. At least it is very, not completely dominant because this is such a well-blended fragrance, but I do pick up on that note of champagne and I am absolutely loving it. This fragrance is also sweet. It has quite a bit of vanilla, and on my skin, it does have a powdery dry down. But when I tell you that this fragrance is worth every piece of hype that you have heard, oh my goodness. If you haven't tried this, you at least need to go into a Sephora because I'm pretty sure they still have it in stock. Go into a Sephora and sniff it because I promise you, you are going to fall in love. So the next fragrance that I picked up as part of my birthday haul is the latest from Hermes, and this one is Barenia. And guys, oh my goodness, I am absolutely loving this fragrance. So I also picked up, by the way, the body cream, and together they are just, because this body cream is so intense. The fragrance is quite intense too, but let's talk more about the fragrance. So I went into the Hermes store to meet my essay and, you know, put my name on the list for a couple of things that I'm looking for and to pick up a couple of house items because you guys know that we just moved into a new place and I'm redecorating, right? So we went in there and I really had not even heard about this fragrance because, you know, I was gone, you know, while I was in the process of the move, and I guess I missed the update of our fragrance community where someone shared that, of course, this had just been launched. So I went in there and I saw the commotion in the store around the fragrance section, and I walked over there. Of course, I was going to walk over to the fragrance section. And I saw this fragrance and I'm like, oh my goodness. So I quickly got the name and I Googled it right there and I realized, wow, this was just launched. Needless to say, guys, I picked up this fragrance immediately and sniffed it. Wow. So let's just talk about Barenia though, because this is not a fragrance that I would say is a crowd pleaser and it is not mass appealing. To me, this is a very, very polarizing fragrance. It is a fragrance that is woody, it is warm, spicy, it has oud, and I would say that the oud in this fragrance is like 3 oud because it is smooth, but not very smooth. There is an edge to this oud, which kind of impressed me about Hermes because Hermes fragrances, at least in my experience, tend to be quite smooth. And oud is not really a dominant note in their fragrances DNA. So I was very pleased and surprised to find that this one does have oud and that the oud has not been smoothed over completely. No, this oud has all of the personality of a nice oud. It is definitely a level 3 oud. Is it going to be something that's very intense or overpowering if you're not into using oud fragrances? No, that's not going to be the case. But you must know that there is oud in here. In addition to the oud, what makes the opening sharp, as I mentioned before, is the note of patchouli. This is a patchouli that has not been smoothed over either. So think about it. You have a very sharp patchouli and you also have the oud. They're both playing around in the opening and all throughout the olfactory journey. At the wear or at the dry down, what I am getting is definitely the patchouli, but not as intense as throughout the olfactory journey. And then there's a backdrop of that oud, which is not faint. The oud is never faint in this fragrance. So I have not had a chance to use all of the fragrances that I'll be discussing with you today, but Barenia is definitely, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Barenia is definitely a fragrance that I have had the chance to use twice. And I've, of course, layered it with the body cream. And I really, really do love this fragrance. But again, you really have to be into patchouli and oud. And that combination can be a bit overpowering. It's almost like when in the Middle Eastern fragrances section, I talked about Shahab Oud Elixir. And, you know, I talked about the presence of the patchouli and how the patchouli was very dominant. I'm not saying that these fragrances are the same, but I'm saying that that level of intensity in the patchouli is what you're going to find in this fragrance. I haven't had a chance to watch many reviews of Barenia, but I have seen a couple, and they do talk about how they're not, you know, necessarily disliking the fragrance, but that there's something very sharp in it. And some people like it and other people don't. Again, a very polarizing fragrance. So this is definitely one that I'm glad I got my nose on before picking it up. So the next fragrance that I picked up as part of my birthday haul is Fenty. And Fenty is a fragrance that, you know, I had a couple of decants and I wasn't sure if I was liking it or not. And actually, I am so glad that I picked up a full bottle because it has made a difference. So for me, there is a note of blueberry in this fragrance combined with geranium. And, you know, those are notes that I just didn't know what to make of that because they can be, geranium to my nose is quite sharp. And in this fragrance combined with the blueberry, it just, I don't know, it just made me feel like I really need to try this fragrance for a while before deciding if I want to add it to my collection or not. And I have to tell you guys, I am absolutely loving this fragrance. This fragrance is so very different though. This is another one that I am telling you, you really should not ever blind buy this fragrance because it can be quite polarizing. In addition to the blueberry and the geranium, there is definitely some rose in here, and there is a citrusy and fresh, spicy feel to the fragrance as soon as you spray it. This is a fragrance that it is fruity because of the blueberry, but honestly, to my nose, this is not necessarily a fruity floral fragrance. This is more of a floral fragrance with nuances of citrusness and that fruitiness coming from the blueberry. But the blueberry and the geranium play a number on my nose for sure. That opening is quite intense. And once it sits on my skin for about 3 minutes, guys, oh my goodness, it is just a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. And in addition to the fragrance, I also picked up the body cream. And the body cream, this has got to be, I have a lot of body creams for different fragrances of all price points. And I have to tell you, this has got to be the most nourishing and the most scent intense, as in the scent of the fragrance is, I mean, you put on this body cream and you basically don't have to spray the fragrance unless you want to, because that's how intense this is. If you've tried the Fenty fragrance body cream, please let us know. Have you experienced that where it is so intense that wow? If you have the Fenty fragrance and you love it, I highly recommend that you pick this one up, especially now with the Sephora VIB sale. Guys, I am telling you, you can thank me later. All right, guys. So also as part of my haul, I did go to the Diptyque shop and I picked up 2 fragrances. I actually went to the Diptyque shop because one of the fam members, and I won't say her name, she recommended that I go try one of the fragrances that are part of the 4 recent launches from Diptyque. And I did try that fragrance. I can't remember the name exactly. And I did like it, but I was totally taken away by a different one from that recent launch. But before that, I just absolutely fell in love with Benjoin Boheme. Now this fragrance, guys, has the note of Angelica. And you guys know how much I love the Guerlain Angelica fragrance because I really love that note when done right. And I have to tell you, in this fragrance, it is just absolutely beautiful. So in addition to the Angelica, there's also some sandalwood in here, and there's some benzoin and a tad bit of patchouli. The patchouli is not very present. The patchouli is actually very faint because the other notes definitely have more of a presence throughout the entire olfactory journey and the wear of the fragrance. But this is the smell of, like, there's something nostalgic about this fragrance. This was initially launched in 2015, but it was just relaunched and placed in this bottle for 2024. And I had never gotten my nose on it. I didn't even know that it existed. And as I was going through the shop and I was having a conversation with the essay, he really suggested that I try this one, and I did. And I loved it so much, but I had gone so set on picking up a couple of the others from the most recent launch that I decided to spray it, walk around, and then decide if I wanted to get it. But I have to tell you guys, like 2 minutes into wearing it on skin, I just knew that this one had to come home with me because it is truly a beautiful fragrance. It has a very nostalgic feel to it, but it's like a romantic kind of feel. I don't know how to explain it. There's such a smoothness. It relaxes you. It's just a beautiful, like bohemian, just like the name. It's like a bohemian feel to it. Like, go with the flow, go with, you know, just go with the flow and just enjoy and just be beautiful. That's what this fragrance is about. So also I picked up from Diptyque, it's called Bois Corse. I think that's how you pronounce it. I apologize if that's not, you know, maybe it's Bois Corse. But anyway, this is one of the fragrances. Oh my goodness. Guys, this fragrance is so good. This is all about, to my nose, vanilla and coffee. That's what I get in this fragrance, but it's been done beautifully because it's not a fragrance. You know how sometimes you get a coffee fragrance and it's like all about the coffee and you're like, okay, I don't want to smell like coffee. Well, with this one, you're going to get that like faint coffee, but that is present at all times. I don't know how to explain it. It's just done beautifully, beautifully. As soon as I sniffed this one, I didn't even have to try it on skin. I knew I wanted it. This is my favorite of the 4 recent launches. And I am just absolutely loving how versatile it is, because typically if I have a coffee fragrance, I will rarely use a coffee fragrance for an evening event, but this is one that you could probably make your signature scent. I mean, that is how beautifully done you have the coffee here. And then of course, paired with the vanilla, oh my goodness, it takes the fragrance to the next level. So I'm really happy that I picked this one up for my birthday. Okay guys, so we are approaching the end. We still have, I think it's 6 more fragrances to go, but I have to tell you, these fragrances that are coming up, I am One of them I am so obsessed with, it's ridiculous. Like, I literally have to tell myself, stop it. Okay, you have other fragrances that you need to get your nose on that you've picked up, and you need to use them, because I am so obsessed with that one fragrance, and I'm going to leave that for last. But let's talk about these two that are coming up. And they're two because they're from the same fragrance house. And guys, you know how much I love Bulgari. Oh my goodness. So you guys know that my favorite fragrance of all time from Bulgari is definitely Tigger. And I love Bulgari not just for their fragrances. Obviously, everybody loves their jewelry, but I also absolutely love their handbags. Absolutely love Bulgari handbags. And I love the Serpenti collection. And I know that many of you are not into like serpents or snakes, but this is done so exquisitely. And they're so beautiful. They're a piece of art, just like their jewelry. Everything is a piece of art when it comes to Bulgari. And their fragrances, oh my goodness. So let me tell you what these two fragrances are, and then I'm going to tell you the story behind them. So I picked up, finally, Baciami, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And I also picked up Spettacolore. And I wipe them so you don't get all the little fingerprints. But okay, so these two fragrances, my husband and I were in Qatar in 2022. We were on our way, I think, to Thailand. Yeah, and we made a stop at the Doha airport in Qatar. And we were in the lounge, you know, in between flights, you go to the lounge. And in the lounge, they have a fragrance boutique of very high-end fragrances. And the essay made it a point, because I went directly to Bulgari because that's, you know, my thing. And the essay made it a point to tell me and show me that these had just come out and that he highly recommended that I try them and maybe even pick them up. And I thought to myself, oh no, you know, no, I'm just gonna wait, right? Mistake, big mistake, because oh my goodness, guys. So I had not been able to get my hands on Baciami forever. And I ended up paying full price for these two fragrances, guys. I mean, I did not get this at a discount. I just paid for them because that's how obsessed I am with both, right? And I'm going to talk about each specifically in a minute. And then most recently, you guys know that my husband and I just went away for a quick weekend for my birthday, and we were in Cancun, and I was in the Cancun airport duty free, and I saw that they had the fragrances. And I ran over there and they were sold out of both. Sold out. And the essay there told me that Baciami had been sold out forever. Like that she doesn't even think that she was going to get it back. And that just gave me the most intense episode of FOMO. Guys, I just had to get my hands on these two finally. And as soon as I got home, I went and I looked out there, and I can't remember if it was Neiman or Saks, or was it Bloomingdale's? I don't know, guys. It was one of those. I paid full price, and I am so happy that I did, because these are amazing. Absolutely amazing. But let's talk about Baciami to begin with. I think that of the two, the most popular is Baciami. So Baciami, guys, oh my goodness. If you have this fragrance, you must share in the comment section your feelings about it, because if you own it or if you have a decant, I'm going to have to spray this one because I am just, wow. And I'm trying not to spray because I'm telling you, there's some great fragrances coming up. But anyway, Baciami to my nose is all about vanilla and white florals. That's it. Like all the other notes that they've disclosed, I do pick up on them, but faintly. But when it comes to the white florals and the vanilla, which has been done, I mean, the vanilla in Baciami is almost to the level of how Guerlain does vanilla. And you know that that's a lot to say, because Guerlain's got that vanilla down. But the level of smoothness and precision in the way that you pick up that vanilla, oh my goodness, it is just exquisite. And this is definitely a fragrance that performs exquisitely. It's going to get you compliments. I'm telling you guys, if you think of any good thing about a fragrance, Baciami has it. Now, let's talk about Spettacolore. Oh my goodness. Listen, if you are an iris and violet lover, and I know that I have a whole bunch of fam members at this point that are totally into iris and violet, you have got. If you have not tried this fragrance, listen to me. With all the love of my heart, I am telling you, you've got to get yourself a sample, better yet, a decant, so you can use this fragrance for a couple of days and then you can thank me later, because this is absolute, oh my goodness, this is absolute heaven. This is just one of the most exquisite iris violet fragrances that I have in my collection. I mean, the first time I used it, it was like, I just couldn't even. I just could not even like control myself. I went around, I made my husband sniff it and sniff it and sniff it, because iris and violet are notes that I absolutely love, but I do recognize that they're a bit tricky. But in Spettacolore, it's been done, when I tell you, beautifully, absolutely beautiful. If you have this fragrance, please let us know your thoughts. It is powdery, it's very ambery, which just takes it to the next level. And it is also a bit balsamic. This is a fragrance, guys, that is worthy of being your signature scent. It is such an incredible fragrance that brings, it's just like a fragrance that puts you in a positive mood. You know how there are fragrances that will change your mood? That's what this fragrance does for me. It is just absolutely exquisite. All right, guys, so the next two fragrances, we only have 3 more to go, but you know that the closer we get to number 1, and I did not rank all these fragrances, guys. I'm just sharing with you what I picked up for my birthday, but it just so happens that these have landed towards the end, and oh my goodness. So the next 2 fragrances that I'm going to share with you, I did not receive in PR. I paid crazy coin for these fragrances, but it was my birthday, and you guys know that I am absolutely in love with the DNA of mind games. I have now 7 mind game fragrances in my collection, and there is not one mind game fragrance that I haven't tried that I haven't just absolutely loved, with the exception of one, which just so happens to be one that people absolutely love, but I'm really not into that fragrance, and that's Checkmate. But from the previous collection, where there's French Defense, and then there's Leonora, which is, oh my goodness, well, it was my all-time favorite until these 2 that I'm going to talk about came in. But I just love mind games. But I'm going to share with you. So I picked these fragrances up from Neiman Marcus, and I'm going to share with you the box that they come in. Okay, so this is the box for Mentor, and I'll talk to you about notes and everything else in a minute. But the reason I want to share with you these boxes is because here's the sleeve, right? And then here you have the box. And then when you open the box, the fragrance will come here, right? And then there's a card that will give you some information about the fragrance, notes, inspiration, etc. And then, of course, here, there's a couple of strips for you to test the fragrance. But the reason I wanted to take the time to show you the box is because you see these 2 little vials? So those 2 little vials have the concentrated version of the 2 dominant notes of each of the fragrances, right? So there's 2 fragrances that have just been launched recently, and they're part of a new collection called the Perfumer Extraordinaire, I think. I'm pretty sure that that's the name of the collection. And there's 2 fragrances that came out, and we have Prodigy and we have Mentor. Guys, I went into Neiman Marcus and I did not go to pick up these fragrances. I mean, I had heard that these 2 were out, but I had not gotten much information. Mind Games is not a fragrance house that I blind buy from because it is quite pricey. But when I tell you, when I tried this one, that was it. That was it. I had to dish out the coin right there. And then I sprayed this one on skin. Oh my goodness. But let's talk about each one individually. So I do want to just let you know, for Prodigy, it also comes in a box much like Mentor. And inside it has two little vials also with a concentrated version of those two dominant notes, which I'm going to talk about now. Okay, so first let's go ahead and talk about Prodigy. And I will be sure to share with you the notes, of course, of Prodigy because it's very important. So let me just start by saying, guys, these two fragrances, regardless of the price point, please do not blind buy any of these two new fragrances from Mind Games because they are quite complex. Now, the complexity in the note structure and in the olfactory journey is what made me just go insane over them. Truly. Like, I just had to have them right there and there. But at that, I am telling you, it is best that you give yourself some time to become familiar with the fragrance, because I think that for most people, there may be a couple of notes and a couple of nuances within the olfactory journey that may not be necessarily easy or an easy adjustment. So I think it is best that you get yourself a good decant, maybe 5 ml or 10 ml, and try the fragrance for a couple of days before deciding if you want to pick it up or not. But that being said, let me tell you about this fragrance. Okay, so it comes in this beautiful white bottle, right? And then the cap is now fully magnetic. It is beautiful. This fragrance to me is all about decadence. This is a very decadent fragrance. It is all about the smell of rich. It is truly unapologetic in being that kind of fragrance. Of all of the Mind Game fragrances that I have in my collection, this one is the one that really goes out there. This to me is not an everyday fragrance. This is not an all occasion fragrance. This is not a fragrance that you should make your signature scent to go to the office or go to a formal event or use it for anything. No, that's not the purpose, in my opinion, of this fragrance. This is a very special occasion, special moment, special mood. You know, you could be at home in your pajamas and decide that you want to spray this fragrance, and that's fine. But it's going to be, in my opinion, a mood moment. That's what I get from this fragrance. But at that, I can tell you that much like the two vials of the concentrated version of two specific notes that they included in the box, as I shared with you, definitely the stars of this fragrance are rose and patchouli with a very dominant backdrop of that vanilla. That's what I get primarily from this fragrance. This is all about the perfect balance between the rose and the patchouli, with a backdrop of that woodiness coming from the sandalwood, which almost gives it like a creaminess. There's a bit of like a coffee feel to it. It's not even like a very, to my nose, is not a very dominant scent. It is more of like a feel to it. It's not lactonic at all to my nose. It's really not lactonic, but I do get all of those notes working together masterfully. This is truly, to me, a masterpiece of a fragrance. This is definitely one that if you are into fragrances that really are groundbreaking, this is one that I highly recommend. I'm telling you, I am so happy that I decided to pick this up for my birthday, because with the cost of this one, I could have picked up a couple of other fragrances that I have on my list, but once I sniffed this, there was no turning back. I had to pick it up. Okay, so now guys, let's talk about Mentor. And I have to spray this one because I cannot pull this fragrance without spraying it. And I did spray Prodigy on my hand, so now I'm going to just spray a little bit because a little bit goes a long way with this one. Okay, I am telling you, please get your nose on this fragrance. Guys, this is absolutely heavenly. This is heavenly, groundbreaking. I don't have anything like this in my collection. So the thing about this fragrance, guys, is that there is oud in this fragrance, right? And do I pick it up? I struggle with picking up the oud in this fragrance because it has been done that incredibly. Like, the oud here is so smooth. It's not faint. It is definitely present, but it is a type of oud, let me put it that way. And they did name it Bois oud, and I did some research, but I'm going to do more research because this is a type of oud that I am telling you I had never sniffed. Like, I am sure I don't have this anywhere in my collection, and if I do, it's in a fragrance where the oud cannot be picked up the way that I pick it up in this one, because this is just exquisitely beautiful. This is a fragrance that if you want to give someone who is into oud fragrances, and even someone who is not into oud fragrances, if you're looking for a gift for the holidays, for someone very special and significant in your life, who is a serious fragrance lover and is into complex, masterfully done fragrances, look no further. You can thank me later. This is the fragrance. Please get your nose on this fragrance because I know you're going to absolutely love it. So this fragrance is sweet. It is very ambery, and it has a tonka bean that, my goodness, has been done incredibly. And then it also has the note of plum. Now, if you've tried plum fragrances in the past, I'm sure you will agree with me that you have to be careful with fragrances with the note of plum. But guys, I'm telling you the notes that this fragrance has, but the blend is done so masterfully that you're going to really have to have a very sharp nose to pick up on some of these notes, because it is the blend. It is just done. I can't say it enough. I know I must sound like, but I am not exaggerating. I did not get this in PR. I am telling you, this is a fragrance that deserves, you're taking a drive to a store, whether I think Bergdorf's may have it also, Bergdorf's, Neiman, you know, whomever has it, go and get your nose on it or order yourself a decant, because I just know you're going to fall in love with it. This fragrance is the fragrance of sophistication. It embodies sensuality. It is a, I wouldn't say sexy beast kind of fragrance. This was not designed, in my opinion, to necessarily be a sexy fragrance, even though it is. This is more about a sophisticated, sensual type of individual. That is what you're going to get. But with any of these two fragrances, the smell is that of rich, decadent, rich opulence. This is like, you have to command in order to wear these fragrances. These to me are 30+ fragrances, absolutely. And when it comes to the oud in this one, I would say that this is like, honestly, a 2, maybe bordering on a 3, because even though the oud is a dominant note, the type of oud that they've used here and the way it's been done, it's just so smooth. It just adds that rich smell to the fragrance, but it doesn't, there is absolutely no barnyard, no sharpness, nothing that sticks out that is not in line with the rest of the notes. It is just perfection. Anyway, guys, I'm going to stop there because I could continue forever with these two, but I am truly so glad that I have these in my collection. Let us know if you've tried this collection from Mind Game. I hope you're ready. I have to tell you guys, I am beyond obsessed with this fragrance. I have had fragrances in the past that I've been obsessed with, but this next fragrance, and I will be filming a video where I talk about 4 fragrances that I'm currently absolutely obsessed with, and they are all 2024 releases, and they just caught me by surprise. So you guys know that I love Bond number 9. And this is the latest launch. This one is Bond number 1 New York. I don't even know where to start. This has got to be this one. Okay, so for those of you that have been with me for a while, or maybe you've just watched my Bond number 9 collection video where I ranked them, and you guys know that Nolita was my number 1. Yes, I said was, because this one is my new favorite. Guys, this is outstanding. This is wow. This is vanilla heaven from Bond number 9. And the fact that they labeled it number 1 is so appropriate because I am sure that this will become the favorite of many Bond number 9 followers because this is just incredible. This fragrance is a musk-based fragrance. But at that, the vanilla is so dominant. The vanilla is everything in this fragrance. It's almost like they decided to feature their new approach to vanilla using this fragrance because I have many Bond number 9 fragrances, as you know, and they do have vanilla, but I have never picked up the vanilla the way that it's been done here. This is just incredible, okay? So this fragrance is definitely sweet. It does have a combination of yellow and white florals, but at that, the rose within the florals is not, I would say, necessarily dominant, but it is definitely present. It is a rose and you will not mistake it. Like, it is definitely a rose that is present. And at that, you are going to have some yellow florals and some white florals. To that, throughout the entire olfactory journey of the fragrance, I do pick up on a bit of citrusness, but just a little bit. Not much, but I do. And if I recall correctly, that's a function of the bergamot, but there may be something else in here because the citrusness is always in the background in the olfactory journey, at least to my nose. It's always in the background. The strong notes are definitely the vanilla, the white and yellow florals with the rose always in the backdrop, always on a bit of woodiness, which gives character, a bit more character to the fragrance. So it's not just a vanilla musk fragrance because that woodiness is not one that is faint. It's not overpowering. It's just like the perfect balance to add depth to the fragrance. There is definitely some patchouli in this fragrance, but I only pick it up midway through the olfactory journey and then it becomes very faint, almost disappearing. That is really not a factor in this fragrance because when I tell you that the vanilla is the star, the vanilla wants to show you all of its facets. So if you combine vanilla with woods, what does that give you? If you combine vanilla with white florals, what does that give you? If you combine vanilla with yellow florals, what does that give you? If you combine vanilla with tonka bean, what does that give you? That's what I get from this fragrance. This is a very balanced kind of fragrance that brings it all together. It's like you've gone through many things, through some good things, through some bad things, but this is the well-rounded version of you. This is well-being at its best. It is a fragrance that will put a pep in your step for sure. This is a fragrance that is very uplifting. It has an incredible sillage and it does, on my skin at least, border into beast mode, but it's one of those beast mode, bordering on beast mode kind of fragrances that is not too intense because there is a smoothness again to this fragrance of that equilibrium, of that balance that you strike in life at times. That's what I get from this fragrance. So while it performs very, very well, it's also not overpowering or too intense. Please let us know if you've tried this fragrance, and I will have a very, very detailed review coming up in the Obsessions video. All right, guys, so we've reached the end of today's video. And I have to tell you, just going through these fragrances, it just brings such a joy to my heart because I am truly in love with all of them. They are all very different and they all bring something to the table that is so incredible when it comes to a fragrance lover such as myself. I am so happy, and I have to tell you, please get your nose on all of them if you can, but the last 6 that I shared with you, they will make a mark in your heart for sure. Anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed my sharing my birthday haul. And as always, thank you so much for hanging with me today. And I will see you all in the next video.